Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam साद्वैतम सावधूतम परिजन सहितम कृष्ण चैतन्य देवम श्री राधा कृष्ण पदान सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितम। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी श्री राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुस्तुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। जयतां सुरतौर्पंगो मम मंद मतेर्गति मत्सर्वस्व पदाम्भोजौ राधा मदन मोहनौ दिव्याद्वृन्दारण्यकल्पद्रुमदौ श्रीमद्रत्नागार सिंहासनस्थौ श्रीमद्राधाशील गोविंद देवौ प्रेष्ठालिभि सेव्यमानो स्मरामि। श्रीमन्रासरसारम्भी वंशी वटतटस्थितः कर्षन् वेणुस्वनैर्गोपी गोपीनाथस्त्रियस्तु न। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। गुरवे गौरचंद्राय राधिकाय ददालये कृष्णाय कृष्ण भक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः। आनंद लीलामय विग्रहाय हेमाव दिव्य छवि सुंदराय तस्मै महाप्रेम रसप्रदाय श्री चैतन्य चंद्राय नमो नमस्ते। चैतन्य चंद्राय नमो नमस्ते। चैतन्य चंद्राय नमो नमस्ते। नित्यानंद महं नौमि सर्वानंद करं परम हरिनाम प्रदम देवम अवधूत शिरोमणि। वंशाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि भक्त वृंद की जय। Hare Krishna. Thank you, dear devotees, for joining. And we have not had it for last some days. I was caught up in some other activities and some other services. So that's why our reading has been a little sporadic, but I'm happy that you're all back again to read about the pastimes of Sri Krishna from the Krishna book. We are right now in the 11th chapter. This is the chapter after the Damodar Leela has taken place. The Yamala Arjuna trees, that is Manigriva and Nalakuvera, the two sons of Kubera, have been uplifted or delivered by Sri Krishna. And this is the chapter after that. In those days, exchange was by barter. Therefore, Krishna might have seen his parents acquire fruits and other things by bartering grains, and so he imitated. So this is the story of the fruit vendor that has been described here. But his palms were very small and he was not careful to hold the grains tight, so he was dropping them. The vendor who came to sell fruit saw this and was very much captivated by the beauty of the Lord. So she immediately accepted whatever few grains were left in his palms and filled his hands with fruits. He who gives fruits of our action is now being given fruits. He whose Phalaprada has now become Phalarti. He who gives fruits to us in the form of different things, now he is getting fruits in his hand. In Vrindavan, love is so much that all the logic, it topples all the logic. Love supersedes everything in Vrindavan Dham. In the meantime, the vendor saw that her whole basket of fruit had become filled with jewels. The Lord is the bestower of all benedictions. If someone gives something to the Lord, he is not the loser, he is the gainer by a million times. This is why it is always said that whenever we get an opportunity, we should donate something either to the devotees or to the temple, uh, wherever it is, based on our strength. Yatha Shakti. Of course, if you are a student, it doesn't apply. But if you are a working professional, uh, we should give something because it is Krishna who is providing us. And it doesn't necessarily have to be in the form of money. It can be in the form of service also. That is physical service. Can be cutting vegetables, can be washing pots, can be organizing or planning something. And likewise, there can be donation of Lakshmi. So Yatha Shakti, whatever is possible, we have to offer it. Because at the end of the day, whatever we are having is because of Krishna. Whatever facilities that we are having for us to practice bhakti, it is because of the Supreme Lord. This is a very beautiful section of the fruit vendor pastime that is explained here. In fact, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Shukadev Goswami just in 2 verses finishes off the whole pastime, because he is so eager to speak about Krishna's Madhurya Leela that in just 2 verses he finishes the chapter. But we find Kavi Karnapur in Anandavan Champu explains this pastime little in detail. We see that this fruit vendor lady who was there, she would live in the outskirts of Braja. So in Vrindavan also we have the outskirts, and she would live in the outskirts. So she was from the aborigine class. And because she was from the aborigine class, she would live deep inside the forest, and every single day she would collect the best fruits, and she would go from one village to another village, and she would just keep distributing these fruits. She had one daughter, and that daughter had got married. And this fruit vendor who was there, she had just one sari, and that sari she would wash and she would wear. That was also not the best tone a bit, but she would somehow manage with that. And she somehow had this ability to find the best fruits. She would not taste them, but somehow she would find the best fruits. Now the question arises, well, if you're not tasting the fruits, how do you know the fruits are of high quality or they're very tasty? Because in Ramayana we find Shabari would taste and give to Prabhu Sri Ram. But here the fruit vendor would not taste. Why? Because in Ramayana, in the Shabari pastime, when she would offer to Sri Ram, they were kapita fruits. They were not meant for human consumption. They were meant primarily for the animals. They were kapita fruits. But here, in the case of the fruit vendor, the fruits that she would pick were primarily meant for human consumption, like oranges, mangoes, apples, pilu fruits. Pilu is a fruit you find even in pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Jagadananda Pandit would get pilu fruits for Mahaprabhu. So pilu fruits are small in size and their seeds are brittle in nature. So, so she would get these different types of fruits meant for human consumption, and she would string a straw basket. And in that straw basket, she would put fruits and she would go from village to village. And as she was doing this, of course, she had no husband at that point, or the mention of husband is not there. Only mention of daughter is there, and that daughter was also married off. Again, this is not there in Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam has only 2 verses. This comes from the commentaries of our acharyas. So as she was going from one forest to another forest, she came to Braj. And when she came to Braj, she saw a few gopis were talking amongst themselves. And as she was giving fruits to these children, she overheard the conversation that the gopis were having. And they were speaking about the beauty of Krishna, as to how beautiful Krishna is. Karena Venu Ranjitam Gati Karindra Ganjitam दुकूलपीत शोभनं नमामि नन्दनन्दनं त्रिभंगदेह सुंदरं नखाद्युति सुधाकरम् अमूल्यरत्नभूषणं नमामि नन्दनन्दनं नमामि नन्दनन्दनं नमामि नन्दनन्दनं नमामि नन्दनन्दनं नमामि नन्दनन्दनं सुनासिकाग्रमौक्तिकं स्वचन्ददन्तपङ्क्तिकं नवाम्बुदाङ्गचिकनं नमामि नन्दनन्दनम्. Srila Rupa Goswami in his Nandanandashtakam. Ashtakam means 8. So 8 verses glorifying Krishna. And Nandanandan, that is Sri Krishna. In the Nandanandashtakam, he very beautifully explains the beauty of Sri Krishna. What does he say? Sunasikagra Mauktikam. Krishna is Sunasikagra. That is, he wears a nose ring. Sunasikagra Mauktikam. So Krishna wears a nose ring. I think someone's mic is on. If you can kindly mute it, that will be helpful. Krishna wears a nose ring, but that nose ring is here. Normally nose rings are here to the side, but Krishna wears it in between. Rupa Goswami explains. Sunasikagra Mauktikam Swachanda Danta Panktikam. Krishna has very nice, excellent teeth. He doesn't have to go to the dentist. Krishna has very nice, white, pure milk teeth. So Nasikagara Mauktikam Swachanda Danta Panktikam. One name of Krishna is Mukunda. One understanding of the word Mukunda is Mukti Dadati Iti, he who gives liberation. But another understanding of the word Mukunda is in Braj there are Kunda flowers. And when they are in the budding stage, they are whitish in complexion. And the word Mu stands for Mukham. So he in whose Mukham the teeth are as white as the Kunda flowers are, that person is called as Mukunda. Mu means Mukham and Kunda are the whitish flowers that are found in Braj. So Rupa Goswami is explaining. Sunasikagra Mauktikam Swachanda Danta Panktikam Navambudanga Chikanam. And what is his complexion? Navambuda. His complexion is freshly formed monsoon rain cloud. That rain cloud that has all the water and is about to shower rain, that rain cloud. Namami Nandanandanam Karena Venuranjitam Gati Karindra Ganjitam. And he very beautifully Krishna plays his flute. We see Krishna has 3 types of flutes: Venu, Vamshi and Murali. And in that also there are subcategories. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Srila Prabhupada explains there are categories like Akarshini and so many others. Akarshini is something that the friends of Krishna like. When Krishna has to call out to the Sakhas, Krishna uses that type of flute. So based on whom Krishna wants to call, if he has to call to the cows, there's one type of flute. If he has to call to his friends, that is the Sakhas, there's one type of flute. If he has to call to the Braja Gopis, there's one type of flute. If he has to call out to Srimati Radharani, there's one type of flute. And so on and so forth. So Prabhupada in detail he explains different flutes of Krishna in Nectar of Devotion or Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So Krishna is very beautiful. So these gopis were discussing the beauty of Krishna. And this fruit vendor who was there, she overheard the discussion. And she went to them and said, "Who is Krishna? I am hearing for last some time you all are discussing about Krishna and his beauty, but who is Krishna?" And these gopis looked at this fruit vendor and said, "You don't know who Krishna is?" She said, "No, I don't know who Krishna is." And she naturally did not know because she was living in the outskirts of Braj. So she would not have any interaction with Krishna as such. And she was from the Pulinda class, which means there are classes that are considered low. Kirata Hundara Pulinda Pulkasha Abhira Shumba Yavana Kashadaya Yenecha Papaya Payashaya Shaya Shuddhyanti Tasmai Prava Vishnave Namaha. The second canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 4, text 15, I think. 14 or 15, I think 15, describes, this is that verse. Different classes of people who are considered not very high class. So Kirata Hundara Pulinda Pulkasha. Pulinda is one class. So she was from the Pulinda class, aborigine class, basically. So she had no interaction with Krishna. Naturally, she had not heard about Krishna. So now that she heard from the Braja Gopis, the Matru Bhav, motherly Braja Gopis, she was thinking, who is Krishna? So she went to them and they said, you don't know about Krishna? Have you not heard Nanda Nandan? She said, no, I have not heard Nanda Nandan. Have you not heard Yashoda Nandan? He said, no, I have not heard Yashoda Nandan. Who is he? And they started speaking about the Damodar Leela. They said, oh, let us tell you, because naturally the event that has just occurred is fresh in our memory. So they start speaking about Damodar Leela, that just a few days back, and they spoke the whole pastime and how he uplifted the two trees. And they started speaking different pastimes like this, Putana and Shakatasur and Trinavarta and Dambandha Leela, etc. So now she was very curious. She said, can I see him? They said, of course you can see him. He is ready to give his loving glance to everyone. You can of course see him. So she said, where does he stay? I don't know where he stays. So the Braja Gopi said, oh, for that you have to cross Yamuna and you have to walk about few miles. And then there's a place called as Gokul. So in Gokul, you will find Krishna. We are in a generation where everyone wants to be cool. They want to go cool. But Gaudiya Vaishnavas also want to go cool. But our Gokul and their Gokul is different. For us, going cool means going to the place where Krishna eternally resides. That is Gokul. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami in his Govinda Leelamrita explains, Gokulam Gokuler Ninye Gokulam Gokular Haran Gokule Gokule Sriram Gokulam Gokuleshwaraha. He does a play of words with the word Gokul. In essence, it says Gokulam Gokuler Ninye Gokulam Gokuler Haran. When the Lord of Gokul entered Gokul with all his Gokul, because Go means also cows and Kula means group. So when the Lord of Gokul entered Gokul, which means the place, with all his Gokul, that means the cows, the gopis of Gokul looked at the Lord of Gokul with all their Gokul, because Go also means senses and Kula means a group of senses. So the gopis of Vrindavan looked at Krishna with all their Gokul. The Lord of Gokul entered Gokul with all his Gokul, and the gopis of Vrindavan looked at the Lord of Gokul with all their Gokul. Gokulam Gokuler Ninye Gokulam Gokuler Haran Gokulam Gokule Srinam Gokulam Gokuleshwaraha. How beautiful. So she got to know that Krishna is living in Gokul. So now she made up her mind. Now it was her life's mission to go and see that Krishna. Everyone is speaking about Krishna and everyone is glorifying Krishna. Why not I also go and see that Krishna? So she decided next day morning. Oh, before that, when she was talking to the motherly gopis, she asked the motherly gopis, what can I give him? Because you generally don't go empty-handed. So what can I give him? And they said, oh, he loves butter. He's Makanchor. He's Makanchor. He loves butter. We see Purushottam Mass is coming. And in Purushottam Mass also we sing Chaurashtakam. Braje prasiddham navanita chauram Gopangananam chadukula chauram Aneka janmarjita papa chauram Chauragraganyam purusham namami Shri Radhika hridayasya chauram Navam budashyamalakanti chauram Padashitanam cha samasta chauram Chauragraganyam purusham namami. Krishna is the best among thieves. And the best thing that he steals is butter. But along with butter, he also steals the heart of the devotees. But along with stealing the butter and the heart of the devotees, he also steals the heart of Srimati Radharani. And along with stealing butter and stealing the heart of the devotees and stealing the heart of Radharani, he also steals the complexion of Srimati Radharani. So Krishna is the best among thieves. In every angle, he is the best among thieves. Just like Kartik is meant for Srimati Radharani, Purushottam Mass is meant for Sri Krishna. So she asked the Braja Gopis, what can I give? And they said butter. But because she was poor, she was coming from the outskirts. She did not have a lot of money. It was uh, paycheck to paycheck, as they say. Whatever money she would get, everything would be used in her daily expenses. So she said, well, I cannot give him butter. I'm not that affluent. Does he like fruits? Or they said, oh, he loves fruits also. He likes fruits. So she said, this I can give. She took her bath. She went deep inside the forest. She strung a straw basket. She got all the fruits, the sweetest fruits, mangoes, oranges, pilus, etc. And she came to the banks of Jamuna. And as she came to the banks of Jamuna, she did not have sorry, she did not have money to pay to the boatman because she was very poor. She did not have money. So now how does she cross Jamuna? She decides to make a makeshift boat. Look at the determination to see Krishna, dear devotees. We are born with a golden spoon. We are having everything with us, and still uh, there is lack of determination. And here is someone who has no resources, absolutely, but makes a makeshift boat, sits on the makeshift boat, crosses to the other side of Jamuna, and again has the basket on her head. So acharyas explain, because she was living deep inside the forest, from the forest to Jamuna, she walked 7 miles. Then she makes a makeshift boat. Then she crosses Yamuna. And then she walks another 7 miles. She walks 14 miles one way and reaches Gokul. And now doesn't know how Krishna looks. Because there's no WhatsApp, there's no Instagram, there's nothing of these. So she did not have a photo. She had not seen Krishna as such. She had only heard about Krishna. And now, when she came to Gokul, she started doing what she was expert at. She started selling her fruit and she started calling out. But because her mind was constantly thinking about Krishna, rather than selling her fruit, she was calling out the names of Krishna. Hmm? She was calling out Govinda Damodara Madhaveti, Govinda Damodara Madhaveti, Govinda Damodara Madhaveti. Murari Padar Pita Chitta Vritti. She Her mind was absorbed where Murari Pada Arpita Chitta Vritti. Her mind, her heart, her consciousness was absorbed in the lotus feet of Murari Shri Krishna. And because her heart was so constantly absorbed, she lost track of what's going around her. What is the circumstance? What is the situation? She just lost track of everything. Instead of selling her fruit, she was loudly chanting Govinda Damodhar Madhaveti. गोविन्द दामोदर माधवेति गोविन्द दामोदर माधवेति गोविन्द दामोदर माधवेति गोविन्द दामोदर माधवेति. She was calling out to Krishna in this way. And the friends of Krishna started to think, what is she doing? She's calling out to our friend. But why is she calling out to our friend? We are here to buy her fruits, but why is she calling out to our friend? And who is she? And when did Krishna make friendship with her? Krishna all the time plays with us, but who is she? We have never seen her in Gokul. And somehow she kept asking the address of Krishna. And she came outside the house of Krishna. There's no Google Maps, no Apple Maps, no GPS, nothing. She came outside the house of Krishna, Nanda Mahal, and she was waiting for Krishna to come out. Because she was from the Pulinda class, she was from a low class. In her heart, she was telling Krishna, Krishna, I cannot come inside because you are very aristocratic. Your father is the king. I cannot come inside. But you can come outside. You can come outside and bless me, Krishna. And she was waiting outside that when Krishna will come out. The whole day passed by. Krishna did not come out. Dejected, She again walks 7 miles, makes a makeshift boat, crosses Jamuna, again walks 7 miles and goes back to her house. But determined, I will again come back tomorrow. What determination, what sincerity, what intensity. What if Krishna has not given me darshan today? I will again come back tomorrow. Again, next day she gets up. Same schedule. Gets fresh fruits. Puts them on a straw basket. Walks 7 miles. Comes to the bank of Jamuna. Makes a makeshift boat. Crosses Jamuna. Again walks 7 miles, which means 14 miles again. So 28 miles of walking in a day, dear devotees. That's a lot of walking. That's a lot of walking. She again comes back and stands outside the house of Krishna and again starts calling out, Govinda Damodhar Madhaveti, Govinda Damodhar Madhaveti, Govinda Damodhar Madhaveti. She starts calling out to Krishna that Krishna, please come out. I don't have the qualification to come inside, but you know who I am. I am from the Pulinda class. I cannot come inside, but Krishna, you can come out. Krishna, I am begging. This is day 2. Please come out. She waits whole day. Krishna doesn't come out. Again, she decides to go back. Again, does the same thing. Walks 7, another 7, so 14 miles. So 28 miles of walking again on day 2. That's already 56 miles of walking on 2 days. Again, day 3 she comes. Again does the same thing. Again sits outside the house of Krishna. Again calls out his name. Again, dear devotees, Krishna doesn't come. Krishna is boiling the milk, wanting to see how eager and how desperate she is. She again goes back. On day 4, she comes back with a determination. If Krishna doesn't give me darshan today, I will jump into Jamuna and give up my life. I am last 3-4 days I'm coming and everyone is speaking about Krishna, he's speaking about his beauty and the activities that he has done, and he's giving darshan to everyone, but just not me. And if this body is acting as an impediment to get his darshan, better I jump into Jamuna and give up my body. No purpose in living. So she was again calling out to Krishna's names. Govinda Damodhar Madhaveti, Govinda Damodhar Madhaveti, Govinda Damodhar Madhaveti. And she was telling Krishna, Krishna, please come out. So Krishna, this time, finally on day 4, decides to reciprocate to her love. Our Krishna Bhagavan comes out with some food grains, with some grains, anna. And as he comes out, some grains fall down to the ground. As we have heard the story, some grains fall down to the ground. He comes face to face in front of the fruit vendor Mataji. And she has tears in her eyes. She says, Krishna, what can I give you? He says, well, these are some grains that I have got. So this is for you. In return, give me some fruits. And by the time Krishna had approached her, his palm was practically empty. All the grains had fallen down. He who was Achyuta, grains from his hand had become Chuta, had fallen down to the ground. He who is Phalaprada, he who gives Phala to everyone, has now become Phalarti. He is asking. So she said, yes, Krishna, I will give you my fruits. But there is condition. Krishna said, what condition? I have already given you grains. She said, no, I don't want grains. There is something else I want. So Krishna said, Acha, what do you want? She said, first, you have to sit on my lap. And second, you have to call me Maiya. Just like the way you call Yashoda as Maiya. Similarly, Krishna, I want you to sit on my lap and call me Maiya. Then whatever fruits you want, you take. I'm not going to charge you. Whatever fruits you want, you just take it. So Krishna looked here and there because he had never called anyone as Maiya. So he looked whether Maiya Yashoda is around. And Maya Yashoda was that time inside the house. She wasn't there around. So Krishna sat on her lap, called her Maya, and as a bonus, Krishna kissed on her cheek. Krishna was only 2.5. And now this was ecstasy for the fruit vendor. Romancha composed Utaranga Bajo, hair standing on and there's tears. Krishna sitting on the lap, Krishna calling you Maya, and then Krishna giving you a kiss on your cheek. And then eventually, as Krishna took fruits and Krishna went, she was still sitting there. She was so enamored by Krishna's beauty that she couldn't go anywhere. She was still sitting there. And that evening, Krishna had a fruit party with his friends. He called all his friends for like a night out or a sleepover, so to say. And Maya Yashoda had cut all the fruits, and she was giving one fruit after another in the hand of Krishna, and Krishna was giving all his fruits, all the cut fruits to his friends. So they had like a fruit party. But even after sunset, this fruit vendor was in a stambit avastha, stunned completely. She was still sitting there, not able to move. And eventually, when she saw her basket, the basket was filled with jewels. And she thought to herself, what am I going to do with all these jewels? I have seen Neelamani. I have seen Ujjwala Neelamani, the blazing blue sapphire of Vrindavan Dham. What is the use of all these jewels? She takes the whole basket and throws the basket in Jamuna. We have seen the photo where she's there with the basket. But after that, she picks up that basket and throws that basket in Jamuna. To hell with these jewels. I don't want these jewels. I have seen the blue, blazing blue sapphire. That is Sri Krishna, Ujjwala Neelamani. Now the Utkantha was so high to see Krishna. Utkantha. Ut basically means upwards, and Kantha means throat. When the pran pushes the soul upwards through the throat, this is called Utkantha, basically death. When the pran pushes the soul out from the throat, which means when you die, this is Utkantha, which means when the eagerness to see Krishna is so much that you can no longer be in this body, that is Utkantha. This is what our Acharya says. The Braja Gopis had Utkantha. This is what the fruit vendor had, Utkantha. The pran is pushing the soul out from the throat. That I can no longer hold on to this body because the body cannot take it. The desperation and the eagerness to see Krishna is so much. And that was the last night the Brajavasis saw her. The next day morning when they came to the banks of Jamuna, she had already left her body and her body was lying on the banks of Jamuna. The Brajavasis did the last rites and our Acharyas explain that even till this date, she is there in Matrubhav, motherly affection, and serving as an assistant to Maya Yashoda. Just like Putana, Lebe Gatim Dhatri, she is serving as an assistant or a nurse to Maya Yashoda. Likewise, fruit vendor Mataji is also serving as an assistant to Maya Yashoda. So in Bhagavatam, there are only 2 verses, and here also Prabhupada very briefly explains, but we find in the Acharya's commentary, it's a very beautiful, sweet, long pastime. So of course we couldn't read much today. We just read probably a couple of sentences, but this is a good meditation that we can do as to how this fruit vendor Mataji got the loving affection, glance, and mercy of Shri Krishna by demonstrating her utkanta, demonstrating her eagerness. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.